Hi guys, Brandon with Simply Lawn Care with another Workflow Wednesday. Today I'm going to show you how we do our invoicing through CoPilot. So normally I do this with two monitors. I really recommend using two monitors if you have it, but I will show you it all on one monitor. Now, first off, open the dispatch board and open the Invoices tab. Then we also open up P4P because we use that software. So, first thing you need to do is you need to set the date. We generally invoice the day after, but it is the 4th of July weekend. We didn't work, so I'm doing Wednesday the 3rd. And I'm going to do the same thing here, Wednesday the 3rd. And you need to do a couple other filters as well for the invoices. Secondly, I'm going to do send status, not sent, because if it's sent, that means we already billed them and I don't need to worry about it. Next is crews. So I'm going to sort by, we have mow trucks, that's the M1, M2, M3, and we have project trucks, P1, P2. So I always start with the mows M1 filter, and I'm going to go to dispatch. It's already on M1. Perfect. Now, for invoicing, we have a checklist of what you have to check while invoicing. You know, we just have a written out piece of paper. You can have it online, whatever works. Just create some sort of system for how you want to check your invoicing. Now, I'll show you what we do to check. So I'll go through it. First off, I look, okay, is any of these first cuts? No, they're all just normal mows. And I would know if it's a first cut because when we schedule a first cut, we always put in the title, first cut, yard sign. So I know while invoicing that it's a first cut because that has to be charged differently. So I'm going to select everything. And I can see this one here was skipped. So I'm going to unselect it because we didn't do it. Now, next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to check the budgeted hours. Now, what I'm looking for is to make sure none of these say 0, like this down here. This is a to-do for the team. Or says 1.00. I'm looking for if it says 1.00 because in CoPilot, if you edit a recurring visit that's already been created and you forget to re-enter the budget hours, it resets it back to 1.00. So I always double check because if I see 1.00, I know that either I messed up or CoPilot messed up and I put the correct budget hours. But these all have correct numbers, so that looks good. Second, I check visit total. So what I'm looking for here is to make sure, again, it doesn't say like 0 because sometimes if you forget to put the cost or rate in, it'll say 0. So these all have numbers, so I know that's good. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to click Show Stats. This way I'm only seeing the stats of what is selected. This one down here doesn't matter because it's a to-do. There's no budget hour price, so it doesn't affect this. So I can see total budget hours 7.09, visit total 567.11. This is what I care about. I'm now going to go to my invoices page. Select these, and I'm going to check down here. 567.11. Great. That lines up with that, so I know the invoice amounts are at least correct. Now, what I always do on the invoice page, just to double check, even though it says it's correct, I check invoice tax. This is all 0. We're in Massachusetts. There's no sales tax on services here, so this should always be 0. Sometimes the system bugs out, adds the tax amount, so I just double check it. 0. Great. Invoice total, again, I'm just checking to make sure it doesn't say 0 in any of these. They all have an amount. Great. And then amount, credit available. I check this. I can see down here 0. So no one has a credit. I always check if they have a credit. So from what I can see here, everything looks good. So what I'm going to do is I have them selected. I'm going to go over here to charge, and then I'm going to charge. Now, the reason I charge it before sending is I always recommend that you get the money before you send it. That way, if a customer has a dispute for some reason, they don't just take their card off before you can charge it. So I always recommend charge the card, then send the invoice. That way, you're not trying to get the customer's card back on file. You've already charged them. Okay, so I got a no credit card found for that customer, which I can see total due. It's this one. If that happens, I just go here and I click charge ACH because generally that just means they have an ACH because we require payment on file for every customer. So there we go. Now total due, everyone is paid. select this again, and I do send by, email, and now they all get their invoices sent to them. While that's doing that, I'm going to go back here, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do the total budget hours. So 7.09, and I can see this was Jordan and Joseph. So I'm going to go to P4P. Going to go over to time cards. And I'm going to go to Wednesday. Let that load. While that loads, I'm just going to put these on the next crew. Great. So what I'm looking for first off is, are their clock in and clock out times correct? So we start paying our workers at 6:45. They're paid to be 15 minutes early here. So that's correct. 12:28 looks correct. And then it was Jordan and Joseph. 6:56, okay. And the clocked out around at the same time looks good. Now I'm just making sure our budget hour is correct. 7.09, 7.09, great. $80 an hour. 2 team members, phenomenal. Now I'm going to do one more step for these guys. And the reason is Jordan is training. He's a trainee. If someone is training, we give the trainer a $4 an hour bonus. So all I have to do is come down here to Joe, because he's a trainer, and I'm going to do add manual adjustment. It's a $4 an hour bonus, so all I have to do is I look at this time here, 5 hours, 23 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to pull up my calculator app. I'm going to do 23 divided by 60. That gives me 0.388. I'm going to add that to 5. So now I know in decimal format, 5 hours and 23 minutes is 5.3833. I'm going to multiply that by 4, because again, we give them a $4 an hour bonus for training people. 21.53. So that means Joe gets a $21.53 dollar bonus to his P4P for training Jordan. And then we always add a note. Trainer pay for Jordan Petroselli. That way they know why they got this bonus. And then save changes. Perfect. That's all set. Then we go to M2. M2. All right. Again, first thing we check. Any first cuts? No, no first cuts. Great. Anyone not completed? Everyone was completed. Track times. There's a 0, but that's to do. That's fine. I don't see 1.0. But I can see it was $80, which is 1 budget hour. So that is correct. And then do all these have amounts? Yep. Everyone has an amount. So what I'm going to do is show stats. And then I'm going to go over to invoicing. Remember, we check the tax. 0 tax. Totals have amounts. Credit available. Any credits? Nope. 0 credit. So what we're going to do. And we have to check the total. So 822. 822. Perfect. Lines up great. We're going to charge these people. While that's doing its thing, I'm going to go back over here. Okay, 10.27 hours. Who was working? Steven and Steven. So I'm on P4P now. Okay, so like I said, we start at 7, but we pay our workers to be 15 minutes early. So they get paid starting at 6:45. He clocked in at 6:38, so I have to adjust this. Because when we pay you to be 15 minutes early. Then, what were the budget hours? 10.27. Correct, correct, correct. Save changes. So you always want to check the clock in and clock out. And then here's who he worked with. Okay, so 7.3, 7.3, 6:45. Great. Now, here we have a discrepancy. Those time clocks do not line up. So just from experience, I know if you see one team member clocked out like an hour after the other one he was working with, it's because they forgot to clock out. There's no reason the other team member would clock out before them because they work as a team. Now, something I would do to double check is I would check dispatch notes. Our team members know if one of them leaves early or one goes and picks up more work and does extra jobs, they have to leave a note letting us know, like, doing this job solo. There's no note here, so I know this person just forgot to clock out. So I'm just going to put it back to 12:27 because, again, there's no reason team members would not be clocking out at the same time. 12:27. Great. Save changes. I'm going to go back to my invoices. Okay. No credit card found for this customer. This customer does not allow large charges to credit card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find them. This customer, I just know from experience, is a check customer. It's a office, so they send us a check. And then Mike Fagoni, he's the other one. Let's charge ACH. Perfect. All set. Again, send by, email. Great. We're going to go here, and we're going to M3 now. All right. Now, invoices, M3. Okay. So, this is what I said before. Remember, dispatch notes. So we got a dispatch note here. Let's see. Should only edge for a period of time. Perimeter is burned from weed whacking. Okay, great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a note that this has to be, I'm going to make it to make a note that we have to add a note to the property about this. I'm not going to do it now, but this is why we have the dispatch notes, and they're super helpful because our team member Louie was able to give us a helpful note that'll help improve the service to the customer. Now, down here, there's a weeding add-on. That means it's a set price, so I don't need to do anything special. One-time mow yard sign. They had a set price, so I don't have to do anything. Now, we have two different ways of putting first cuts. If it's a time first cut, it just says mowing first cut yard sign. This one says one-time mow, so I know that means it was a set price, and I can see that here, 1.5 budget hours. That was a set price first cut. So, I'm going to select everything, and we're going to make sure budget hours look correct. Doesn't say 0 or 1. Great. Prices, there is a price for everything. It's not 0. Great. I'm going to do show stats. Now I'm going to go over here, and let's have a look. Tax, 0. Great. 635. 635. Credit available. Okay, we have someone with a credit. Interesting. Let's see what this is. So I'm going to open their account in another page. And what I'm going to look for is, so just so you know why we have credits, if you accept a job over $1,000, we require 50% deposit. So mowing, there's no deposit, but for any project there is. So $579. I'm looking one. Okay, so they have a big estimate accepted. So there's a good chance that credit isn't just to pay for future mows, it's probably for a project. The second, so I can either look through this estimate and kind of do the math on, okay, is this for a job that was done already? Look through the job history, or something a lot easier is just scroll down here and look. Okay, so $68. I know that's most likely mowing because that's every week, and I can see we charge it to the credit card. So that just tells me right there, this credit is probably for a job that we did for the customer, a deposit. So I know I can just charge the credit card. This credit doesn't apply to the mowing. So close that. And I know, let's charge these. So we're going to charge them because no one else had a credit. I'm going to go back here. 7.96, and Louis, he did this solo. So we're going to Louis. And 645, great. 250, great. Oh, so sometimes CoPilot likes to break these up. I'm sure there's a reason they do it. I personally don't like to use this additional column here just because I like it clean. So what I like to do is 7.96. 7.96. I'm going to save. You have to save the change because it won't let you delete the additional rate without saving first. I'm not sure why. Just a glitch. So now I have it. It looks a lot cleaner. Again, I'm sure that would have added up to 7.96, but I like it looking clean. Okay. One person, $80 an hour. Great. Times look great. Okay. Save that. Now, let me go back here. Okay, your card has insufficient funds. Your card has insufficient funds. So let's see who that is. Total due. This customer here, Bronco. So what I'm going to do, let me see if they have an ACH on file. No ACH on file. So I'm going to make a note of this. I'm writing down that Bronco, insufficient funds. You could make a CoPilot to do if you want, whatever you want. Just we make a note that, hey, that's insufficient funds. I need to call the customer. Sometimes Stripe says that, and it might just be they disabled their card because maybe there was fraud or something and they have a new card. So you just have to let them know, hey, we need to add a new card on file. So that's all great. Everything has been charged, and this customer is going to get a call to get a new card on file or an email. Great. Now, something we do for mowing, if someone has like a weird extra service like this add-on or a one-time mow, we always send them a review email. So I'm going to select just these two because there's an add-on service, and this was a one-time mow. I'm going to go to send by email. I'm going to go feedback after service. And we have this nice little email with a picture and it has a Google review and a Facebook review link. I'm going to send that. Phenomenal. So all the mows are set. Look at that. We are, what, like 8 minutes into 15 minutes into this recording. All the mow invoices are done. We're going to go to P1. And now we are going to look at projects. Same process, a little different for certain things. So again, Brandon, add 1 budget hour for mulch. We supposed to say mulch bags on the estimate, but not. So Arthur went and picked up mulch. Okay, so what this is saying, and I just know this because this is how we operate, is we forgot to say there was mulch bags on the estimate, which means we made a mistake on the office side. Now, because of P4P, I don't want to hurt my employee Arthur here, who did a good job. I don't want to hurt his paycheck. So I'm actually going to give him 1 non-budget hour for this mulch because he had to go pick it up and he didn't know he had to. So I'll be adding that on the back end of P4P, which I'll show you. We'll just keep that in mind for now. Okay. So we got Arthur and Justice here. And actually, Justice, I know, was out of work that day. As you can see, he has no clock in. He was supposed to come, but he missed work. So that's why he still says it here. So only Arthur did these jobs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing. Everything was closed. Budget hours all look correct. They all have prices. Great. $793, $732. Go to the invoices. Tax, 0. Great. $797.32. Was that correct? Yep. No credits. Phenomenal. So now we are going to charge, credit card, send. And then I'm going to go over here to Arthur, 641. So we need to correct that. It needs to be 645. And then how many budget hours did he complete? 7. So again, I like it clean. Now this is something you have to edit. It says 2 because it says Justice on here, but I know Justice wasn't there. So you need to change that to 1. Save changes. And then I'm going to have to make one more edit because that additional CoPilot rate you cannot delete until you click Save Changes. Now I have this delete option. I wouldn't have before. Save Changes. And there we go, Arthur. And check that. Those are all good. I'm going to send these. And you just saw what I did before there, which was I sent review emails to the Numo customers. We always send review emails to landscaping customers. So email, feedback after service, Stoneham, send email. Great. Now remember, this dispatch note, I got to add 1 non-budget hour for the mulch because that was an office mistake. So manual adjustment. And what I have to do here is we do 80 an hour. So you're adding this amount to their P4P. So I'm not going to add $80, which is what we charge the customer. I'm going to add a third of $80 to his P4P because that is 1 non-budget hour in P4P terms. So 80 times 0.33, 2640. So I have to add 2640 to his P4P. To employee, 1 non-budget hour added for estimate not mentioning mulch bags and team member having to pick up mulch. Save changes. Great. So our mistake, we own that, so we are going to take care of that for our team member. Then last one, P2. Same thing over here, P2. Bridget Kane. Bridget Kane. Okay, so we got a couple notes here. So, update, install plants budget hour on CoPilot Invoice and P4P Software. It says this note because this customer, if I open out, got a plant install. Now, as you can see, there's no price and no budget hours because we quote the plants based on their size. And we have it listed here so the customer can, figure out how much it's going to cost them. We even have little pictures of it. So what I have to do now is I have to go, okay, how many plants? 14 2.5 quart pots planted. Great. So I need to find the 2.5 quarts. 2.5 quarts or less. $15. So I have to do 15 times 14. $210. I'm going to add a note for the customer just so they know why we're being charged. 14 2.5 quart pot plants. Always bold it. And then I'm going to add the budget hours. Now, the budget hours, I just know this, which is that $5 of that is for the material because we have to add additives and whatnot. So $10 is actually P4P. So 10 times 14, and then divide that by 80 because that's our hourly rate. So it's 1.75 budgeted hours. Great. And then this was, oh, whoops, forgot to do it. 15 times 14, 210. Great. So that's been added. Now I'm not going to close this because I have to go to the invoice and I have to edit her invoice too. Install plants. And what I'm going to do is everything I just wrote, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. Great. Now her invoice is all updated. And we have that added. You see the note. And the price has been increased. Fee nominal. Go back to invoices. Go back to here. And what you have to do, it still says 21. So you have to refresh. Once that refreshes, you'll see now it's 22.75. So it added the budget hours. Awesome. So we're going to make sure everything looks good. 2206.28, 2206.28. Bridget Kane. Tax 0, credit available 0. Charge credit card. And check that. Oh, look at that. No card on file. So let's try ACH. And there we go. All set. ACH has been charged. She's paid. We're going to send. I'm going to go back here. This was just Nate on this job. Now I know that this was a project. It was a multi-day project. So instead of just entering the amount, I'm going to make sure one is his clock in and clock outs look accurate. Yep, those look good. I'm going to go to project, Bridget Kane, and I'm going to look at what did he clock in on this. He clocked in. So the reason it says 17.23, it's including his times from yesterday. Because like I said, this is a multi-day job. So what we can do here is we can go to time tracking. Now the thing with this is Nate did this entire job himself. So I really don't have to do this extra step of checking what his exact time was today. But I'm doing it to show you what you should do if like multiple workers did this. So you can see these were mows, the landscaping. Nate did this on the 2nd and then he did it on the 3rd. So again, if I had another employee like Steven had also done the landscaping, I would be able to see, how long he clocked in, but it was all Nate. So 8.25. I'd usually do the math to get the exact amount, but again, it was all Nate who did this job, so it doesn't matter. He's getting all the P4P anyways. 8.5. Save the changes. And now, exit that. Invoice is sent. I always send the review email. Feedback after service. Great. All right. So all the P4P has been implemented. Last thing I like to do, double check, is I like to erase the cruise filter just to make sure something didn't get unsorted. So if it was accidentally not assigned to a crew, or maybe our general manager did something, it would show up now, but nothing's showing up. So that means everything is good. Everyone has been billed for work they did. Now I can go to P4P, generate payroll, Bridget Kane, submit, because this job was completed today. And there's one last step I like to do. Invoicing is all set, but I always like to check the P4P amounts, make sure I didn't accidentally enter something in incorrectly. I'll show you how I check that now. So you go up to payroll once it's been submitted. And I'm just looking to make sure I don't see some super high, P4P amounts here. So these all look pretty normal. Then I look at efficiency score, 57. Jordan Petrocelli, 65. He's, again, training, so that's normal. 66, he's a trainer, so that's normal. Louis, 99%. Steven, 90%. Steven, 90%. Then I can see the project. Bridget Kane, Nate, great. He beat it by 4.5 hours. We'd love to see that. All right, so everything looks good. That is it. That's how you do your invoicing and P4P at the same time. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Always happy to answer them. And yeah, have a great rest of your Wednesday.